Well, good morning, friends. Pastor Pete here on the morning of March 17th, around 8 o'clock in the morning or so. I'm here in our worship auditorium at Downsview Baptist, where it's empty and may remain empty for some time yet, as God is pleased to bring us through this time of difficulty and isolation. It's an odd thing for us as Christians, isn't it, to think about the idea that isolation can be a good thing. But the interesting thing is that it's connected so much to the spread of something, not just the catching of something. The most vulnerable members of our congregation and of our society, obviously, are the ones that we're most concerned about catching this virus out there, because it can be potentially very dangerous and even fatal for them. So we want to take it very seriously. The vast majority of us, though, the concern is not so much catching it as spreading it. And spreading it because there are certain groups of people, particularly those most at risk amongst us, that can have very difficult effects for them. The best thing for us as pastors to do is not try to comment too much on medical issues, but to stick with the things that we know in terms of what the Bible reminds us of. And so we've been taking our treks through the Bible, Pam and I, and we have seen a couple of passages in the Old Testament about the whole concept of sin and the consequences of sin in this world. Let me be clear, I'm by no means making a one-to-one connection between some COVID-19 virus and the kind of effects of sin that are in this world, but I would make a one-on-one connection and say that any kind of difficulty that we have in this world is always the effects of sin, that there is difficulty in this world because there is sin in this world. And the sad thing for us to recognize and realize is that you and I do not contribute to the cleansing of this world. We do not contribute to the lack of infecting and polluting other people. We, in fact, contribute to the sinfulness of this world. I was noticing this morning that Shoppers Drug Mart and a number of other grocery stores were going to set aside the first hour or so of their day for some of the seniors and parts of our vulnerable population to be able to get some shopping done. That they would cleanse the store really, really clean, and between 7 and 8 in the morning or so, it would only be for seniors and folks who really just needed some quiet time. There wouldn't be a lot of people around, and they would have their opportunity just to shop in there. And I thought, boy, it's really commendable to see folks like that really helping out some of the folks that are very, very much in need. It also occurred to me, though, with this respect to sin, that these places have not infected us. We've infected them. It's not as if you're going to go to a gym or a restaurant and you're going to catch it from the handrails or the knobs of the doors or the plates that people are using, as if it originated there. No. These places have not infected us. We've infected these places. It came from us. It didn't come onto us in these places. Now, it's certainly the concern now, of course, but when I just think about where did it originate, it originated with us as people. And I compared that to this issue of sin. And part of the challenge with sin is that, of course, we didn't catch it from the world around us. We contributed it into the world around us. The book of James, one of the earliest books, perhaps the earliest written in the New Testament, we read in chapter 1 and verse 12, this encouraging verse, that blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. Great words. When it comes to living that out, he says in verse 13 of James 1, let no one say when he is tempted, I'm being tempted by God. Meaning, when we're tempted to sin, we're not going to blame God. We're not going to pull an Adam and Eve in Genesis chapter 3 and said, the woman that you gave me made me do it. And no, the husband or the serpent, or people blaming one another. No. He says, let no one say when he is tempted that I'm being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when? Here's when sin comes into it. When he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then, desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. The issue of the spreading and the multiplication of the consequences of sin in our world is something that each one of us has to own, and own in a sense that we understand that we have a responsibility for it. We are responsible for the sin that we commit. We're responsible for the choices that we make. We sit in this auditorium week after week, and we hear ourselves sing about the redemption that Christ has brought into this world, and we hear about the beauty of the majesty of the one who has brought redemption in the world, who has come to buy us back out of this slave market of sin, if you will. He's had to do that, friends, because just like this virus is spreading, we spread the effects and consequences of sin all the time. We see it in little aspects of what's happening at this time of year, whether people are just hoarding all of their groceries and their paper supplies, and this ridiculousness of needing 1,000 rolls of toilet paper, and we've all heard that nowadays. But it strikes me as that it just gets to the heart of this humanistic idea that you may hear every once in a while, that man and mankind, men, women, boys and girls, are essentially good. We're not essentially good. We're essentially selfish. We're not essentially self-evaluating. We're self-righteous. We're not self-deprecating. We are self-promoting. We're so sure of just that we're doing the right thing because we're doing it. And dear friends, remember, at Downsview Baptist Church, we are a gospel people. We are a people of the book. We are people of this book, the self-revelation of our King. And he's reminded us again through these very difficult days out there that we see some of the ugly side of the consequences of sin out there. And the thing that brings me to confess again and again is my shame that I'm not contributing to the righteousness of this world. I'm contributing to its sin. I'm not contributing to a cure. I'm not the one who's contributing to the cleansing. I'm not the one who's contributing to this, except by being attached to the one who's bringing the cure. Believing the one who has the opportunity and has promised to one day cleanse this world of all unrighteousness, that all of the sin and the effects of sin would one day, just like we're praying for now with COVID-19, it would be just wiped away from the earth, that one day, all of this sin and ugliness will be just cleansed away from here. And it will be cleansed not by you and I. It will be cleansed by the Lord Jesus Christ, who's promised to come one day into this world and just wrap it all up. And there's times that we feel like, boy, Lord, just wrap it up. But we don't want him to wrap it up without cleaning it up. And we want him to clean up my heart. Change my heart, O God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, O God. May I be like you. Right? Give me a clean heart, the psalmist prayed for. Friends, just like this virus is spread, we are spreading the effects of sin still into this world. And just like some kind of isolation from that disease, as we move our way and seek to isolate ourselves, or at least isolate away from sin in our world, we're going to stop its spread. We're going to be connected to the one who is stopping the spread, the one who tells us how to stop the spread of this, which is to pursue righteousness, pursue the right thing by clinging to and believing the right one, the one who knows how it is that life is to be lived, the one who has lived as an example and earning perfect righteousness by that living, and the one who has died because he knew that the cure needed to take place and the ultimate cleansing of sin in this world was by the payment of the debt. And Lord Jesus Christ, he paid that with his own blood. He tells us, even as that text in James continues, do not be deceived, my beloved brothers. Every good and perfect gift comes down from above, from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Every good thing that we have, dear friends, does not come from us. It comes down from above. And we are to disseminate it into this world. And we are to, just as we want to spread the message of the cure of the sinfulness that's in this world, that is the message of the gospel, we're to recognize that the origination of it does not come with us or our ideas or how we think things ought to be done. We don't conceive of the cure. We receive the news of the cure, and we're to spread it. I pray that you're clinging close to one another and encouraging one another. I hope these little updates are helpful to you. As we said, this is very new. We're just trying to keep in touch as best we can. Just to be really clear, friends, in terms of practically in our church family, everything is canceled. Everything is on hold. Prayer meeting, youth group, meals that we had planned leading up to Easter and stuff, everything's canceled. That we just have to be just that socially responsible. Right now, the latest estimates are there's just over 400 or so cases in Ontario, or in Canada, only 4 deaths of all of that, and all of them have been from a nursing home in Vancouver area, and we mourn for those families, and we should certainly be praying for those folks. At the same time, we should be giving thanks to God that it's spreading, but there seems to be in his providence making use of it slowing down to some degree. Keep listening to the authorities who know what they're talking about, and don't be spreading nonsense that we don't understand. As far as I say, our church family activities, everything is just on hold until they're not. And we'll try to get this out. Please circulate this message, the message, not necessarily the video. You can certainly do that if you want. Lord willing, it'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on our Facebook page. And we just want to get the word out to folks in terms of listen to what's happening. Meeting in groups of less than 10, I think, is the latest encouragement. So we're quite a small group that we would only meet in with a few folks. That self-isolation really does work. And if you don't got to be around people, don't be around people. As my buddy Paul Carter says, this virus loves company. And we're just trying to cut the spread of this off, just as we are in a very real illustration of seeking to cut the reign of sin and death in this world. That's what Christ has come to do. That's what he's promised to do. That is the place that our world is. It's indeed in his hand. Of his own will, he brought us forth by the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. That's who we are. Remember who you are, and remember who Christ is, and help spread the truth of that. Lord bless you, friends.